Welcome. I'm glad you're here. This video today is especially for people who are still carrying the weight of a difficult relationship with a parent. It is for you if you were criticized, mocked, judged, neglected. What I want to say to you is it is not too late to be seen as you really are. I want to tell you a story about a gift. And in so many ways, this is an incredibly ordinary story because we all know what it feels like to choose a gift for someone. We see something, we imagine that they will love it. We put who knows how much effort into choosing it, and who knows how much effort into procuring it, and who knows how much effort into presenting it. And we share it with great anticipation that the joy of the gift will be received by the person who is receiving it. And we all know that sometimes it doesn't quite work out the way we're hoping. Every so often, the person receiving our gift will be unimpressed or, God forbid, disdainful or some other less than joyful response to our gift will take place. Now, when we are adults and this happens, we have tools for dealing with the disappointment of that. It hurts. It hurts for sure. But adults can say to themselves, well, I guess they're in a bad mood today, or maybe they didn't get it about how much thought I put into it. And surely this is not telling me anything I need to know about who I am or telling me anything about the effort that I put into it. To varying extents, adults have these capacities to put things into perspective. Unfortunately, the negativity bias, even for adults, will tell us that the person's reaction is more important than all the positive impulse that was behind it, but we can cope. It is a very different story when the gift giver is a child and the gift recipient is a parent. A child cannot say to themselves about the person on whom they're depending for their survival, they are having a bad day, or their reaction is about them and not about me. And what happens, possibly could happen, might have happened to you if you're still watching this video, is that the child might think that adult can see something about me that I can't see. And a child might take that kind of rejection into their sense of who they are. That happened to me, and I want to tell you a story, and then I'll explain how being strengths focused helped me regain authorship of the incident. When I was about 5 years old and just starting kindergarten, I was making friends for the first time and being really outside my family's environment, outside of my family environment for the first time. And I made a very good friend in kindergarten. We became best friends, and I spent time over at her house. And this relationship made my mother feel insecure. And one night she let me know that by sitting on my bed crying and saying that I did not love her and that I loved my friend's mother more. I loved my friend's mother more than I loved her. This was a gutting experience for me. I was, like any 5-year-old kid, completely dependent on my mother. I loved her very much as any 5-year-old could love their mother. I loved her immensely, and I was crushed and mystified that she did not experience that or know that. And I thought there must be something very, very wrong with me. So I, at my friend's house, became an investigator of love and noticed how they expressed love at their house, because they seemed to both express and receive love well. I noticed that one thing they did is they shared figurines that were available at the corner drugstore. And so they had lots of these cute figurines in their house that were gifts from one to the other of the family members. And it occurred to me that I would buy a figurine for my mother. So I went on Mother's Day with my friend, and we went shopping at the corner drugstore and bought figurines for our mothers. And I chose a figurine with arms stretched out as wide as they could be that said on the base, "I love you this much." And I thought it was absolutely perfect. It was such a clear expression of love that she was missing. And I thought she would have an epiphany. I thought she will really know for sure, deep down inside herself, that she is loved by me. She is loved in this world. She will be whole and healed by this figurine, I thought. And I'm sure I put some effort into the presentation. And when she opened it on Mother's Day, she made a very disappointed face. She held it almost as if it were a toxin. And she said, "Why would you think that I would like this?" And that was very painful, very painful. And having those two blows, for some reason, in my little mind, became a lock. I can't do it. I'm not loving. I don't know how bad I am, but somebody can see it and I can't. For decades, I believed that I was love impaired. And this is not the only story on this topic from my life, but I think it is the seminal one. And I believed her reaction. I believed she could see me, and I took it very much to heart. But as an adult, I have tools that help me very much in going back to reclaim a deeper truth, something that was more deeply true for me. And that's what I want most of all to share with you in case it would help someone else. When our parents don't understand us, it is not the final word on who we are. We may have been mistreated and rejected and criticized and shamed, but that is not information about our essential nature. Right in that story, there is information that I forgot to hold information about how much I cared, how much I loved, and being a symbolic thinker, and being generous and loving to give and reaching out for connection, and many, many more positive things in the part of the story that leads up to the rejection. So as an adult, I can go back to that story and see my actions with clear eyes, with my own eyes. I can see how hard I tried to reach this possibly unreachable person. But this is not a condemnation. It is a reclamation. This kind of work is not forgiveness work. Forgiveness is good. Please forgive. But this is authorship work. This is the work of going back kind of archaeologically and finding the subjective truth that precedes someone else's voice dictating your identity. In my case, I think there's gold in them there hills. Really, I went so long thinking my love was imperceptible. But I can go back and see clearly how much love was there. That story is indicative of my biggest problem in claiming a positive identity. Because as a kid, my strengths were reflected back to me as flaws. Sometimes a child may be caring and have that interpreted as foolishness. Vulnerability may be interpreted as weakness. And passion may be interpreted as over-involvement. And if you grew up in an environment where any vulnerability was an opportunity to ridicule, you may have taken hold of an identity that does not match who you are very well at all. I believed that I was not a good person. And today, I want to invite you to see that even painful memories that have gotten really crusty in there and that we have believed on some level for a really long time, those experiences that hurt us, even those experiences might be full of positive moments and strengths. This is not an invitation to say that a painful thing was a good thing. It is not. And it is not an invitation to say that harm can be a blessing. I don't think that. I really don't. I am not asking you to look on the bright side. I am asking you to look closely and reclaim your love, your caring, your passion, your playfulness, your strengths. They're in there. Even in the most painful memories, they are in there. And it's a positive move to let go of the pain being the main narrator. I have grown tired of my pain being the main narrator of my life. I am ready to say that my purpose and my goals and my strengths are what I am living for. So now I want to look at what my own actions in any story reveal about me. What do my intentions reveal about me? And I want to give less importance to another person's reaction, another person's interpretations of me. But here I want to pause and say how important I think it is to name hurtful behavior. I really think that's an important step. For the longest time, I wasn't conscious that I had been hurt as a kid. And naming it was so important for me. There's something that happens when we don't name our hurt that I can't explain. I'm not a psychologist. But when we're unconscious of the hurt that is inside of us, we perpetuate it. And I guess it kind of makes sense, because if I had to take on board that my mother ridiculing the gift I gave her was acceptable behavior, correct behavior, she was older and correct and I was younger and a mess. I thought I was really a mess. So if I take that on board, it kind of makes sense that I would act like her. There's a little missing link in there that I don't understand, but I can't make it all clear. So it is a very good thing to name it. It's a very good thing to say, look, this happened to me. Oh, and it's still happening. So I am not trying to diminish that part of the path. But I recognized at some point in my journey that naming it wasn't protecting me from it happening again. I was so disappointed by this discovery. I thought if I can get really clear about what mistreatment I lived with and still receive, that somehow that magic consciousness would make it go away. Oh, how I wanted that to be the case. And I was so disappointed that it wasn't. So I found that this naming and focusing on that pain kind of at a certain point was growing it. And it wasn't helping me with my identity. You know, I want to have an identity around my positive qualities. I want to believe in myself and I want to see myself in a good light. And of course, I want you to see yourself in a good light too. So this is about claiming my opportunity to tell myself a different story about who I am. I want to tell myself the story of a little girl who loved her mother and who made every effort she could to show that love. I want to tell myself the story of a caring, empathic, and giving little girl. And I want you to consider doing the same for yourself. If you have a memory from childhood of being shamed, criticized, or diminished, I will really passionately invite you to re-examine that story to see if maybe, in fact, you were being caring, creative, kind, generous. Because I have a feeling little kids probably most of the time are being pretty awesome. You might find strengths in that story that you've been carrying painfully for a really long time. And I want to offer you a gift that is my PDF, Awaken the Journey. It is just a few mindfulness and positive moment reflections that soften us. I use these practices all the time to soften myself toward myself, to hold myself more gently. And there's a link in the description and in the comments where you can pick up that PDF and you can start doing some mindfulness. Really simple. It's an invitation. simple little practices that anyone can do that will bring more gentleness to your relationship with yourself. If you're carrying these kinds of burdens, you might find it really soothing. You may have been taught to misunderstand yourself, but you can learn to read yourself again. Thanks for being here.